Hello everyone, welcome to GS Score. So in our series of the current affairs through MCQ, I'm back with another session on the MCQs related to governance. So let us check the questions out. So this question says, regarding the recently released Performing Grade Index PGI 2020-2021, consider the following statements. So various indices, reports, rankings, etc. do make it to the preliminary examinations. And we need to find out the details about these very entities, the organizations basically releasing them, India's position, right? Also, as part of governance and social justice, they act as essential inputs as facts. So let us look at the set of statements. It is a unique index for evidence-based comprehensive analysis of school education systems across the states and UTs. This statement is correct. The second statement, the index is released by National Council of Educational Research and Training, that is NCERT. Well, if we look at the index itself, it is released by the Department of School Education and Literacy of Ministry of Education and not NCERT. So this statement is incorrect. Next statement, none of these states has so far attained the highest, that is level 1. That is correct, because as per the 2020-21, about 7 states attained the level 2, but none of these states could attain the level 1, showing that a lot of scope of improvement exists in the school education. So this statement is correct. So statement number 1 and 3 are correct, and we need to find the correct statements, and hence the answer is option C. Option C. Moving on to the next question. With reference to the scheduled tribes in India, consider the following statements. So if you have been following the news, you see that the reservation as well as the designation of the STs are in demand. The ongoing parliament session also faced similar demand from various communities through their representatives in the parliament. Also, this has been covered widely in the newspaper. So let us look at the set of statements that we have. The Constitution authorizes the Parliament to specify the tribes or tribal communities or parts of group or groups within tribes or tribal communities which shall be deemed to be scheduled tribes in relation to a state or union territory. Well, it is not exactly the Parliament. As per Article 342 subclause 1, the President is the right institution. So that makes the statement 1 incorrect. Second statement, in India, people belonging to Islam and Christianity do not enjoy scheduled tribe status. Well, this statement is also incorrect. In fact, if you look at a lot of tribes, especially in central India, Chhattisgarh, etc., a lot of them belong to, or rather follow, Christianity as well, right? So this statement is incorrect. Recently, even the scheduled castes within the different religious groups also was in question by the Supreme Court, or was under the purview of the Supreme Court. So this statement is also incorrect. So clearly we have 1 or 2 statement as incorrect. So we can rule out the option and get to the answer, that is C. However, we must examine the third statement as well. The chairperson of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes has been given the rank of Union Cabinet Minister. It is correct. If we look at the Article 338 and the new Article 338A in the Constitution through the 89th Constitutional Amendment Act, we find that the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, the term and office of the chairperson, vice chairperson, etc., and chairman has been conferred with the rank of a Union Cabinet Minister, and vice chairperson has been given the status equivalent to the Minister of State. Right, so that is correct. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements. The right to the city envisions cities and human settlements as common goods that should be shared and benefit all members of the community. So such movements which keep on happening, whether it is related to cities in news due to the concept of sister cities, etc., right? These things are in news. So this statement is correct because the right to city is a collective right that highlights the territorial integrity and interdependence of all internationally recognized civil, political, economic, social, cultural, and environmental rights. So these cities and human settlements are envisioned as common goods, and hence this statement is correct. The second statement gives every occupant, the right to city gives every occupant, irrespective of their legality, a claim over the city. Yes, because it essentially relies on the idea that the state follows the tenets of social justice, right, and provide equal opportunity. So this is a correct statement. The third statement, the World Cities Day 2022 was observed globally in Shanghai under the theme Act Local to Go Global. That is also correct, and that is precisely the current event around which this right to city was in news. All the statements are correct, hence the correct option would be option D. Option D. Moving on. Which of the following statements regarding information technology, intermediary guidelines, and digital media ethics code rules 2021 are correct? So digital media always remains in news as far as last few years are concerned. Recently, government was talking about coming up with regulations related to the social media influencers, right? And hence we should keep a tab on things like these. The first statement, the rules mandates all intermediaries to identify the first originator of the information on its platform under certain conditions. Obviously, fake news, etc., malicious agendas are driven out. Basically, this statement is incorrect. Why? Because intermediaries, are the bodies which are solely, enabling the online interaction between two or more users. Okay? And they provide like a messaging service and must enable the identification of the first originator of information within India on its platform. Okay? Through an order of court or the competent authority under the IT Act. It is not that the first originator of information under certain conditions, right? Second statement, the rules direct intermediaries to publish their privacy policy and user agreements in all official Indian languages. That is correct. A lot of people who are not very well conversant in English or other languages which these social media platforms and digital media platforms provide do access the internet and social media. And hence, it is important that these policies and user agreements are there in all official Indian languages. Let us look at the third statement. Under the rules, Grievance Appellate Committee can be set up by the government for hearing appeals against decisions of grievance officer appointed by the intermediary. That is correct. This role of grievance officer was in news recently as well, right? So we have two statements, those are correct, second and third. Hence the correct answer would be option B. Option B. Next question. Consider the following statements regarding association of world election bodies. While conventionally, if we look at elections are a part of polity, right? But the functional aspects form the part of governance. Okay. So if we look at the elections in general, yes, we are talking about polity, the rules, procedures, representations of people act, etc. But this is about one such association. So all those international associations which deal in a particular landscape, for example, a Transparency International, an NGO dealing with the transparency and accountability in a country or geography, right? It can be a gender parity index, right? So things like that always falls in the realm of governance. So let us look at the set of statements. It is largest association of election management bodies worldwide. Well, this is correct. Next statement. All members of the UNGA are members of it. No, that is not correct. In the sense that there are countries which do not follow that sort of a election mechanism. There are monarchies which are part of the UNGA. So with that logic also you can basically eliminate this, right? Also from the point of view of facts, there are around 115 countries as members with 16 regional associations and organizations as associate members. So this statement is incorrect. The third statement, it is headquartered in Bonn, Germany. This is incorrect. The HQ of this particular association is in Songdo, South Korea, right? And since statement number 2 and 3 are incorrect, we are left with only the one correct statement. Hence the answer is option A. Option A. Right? Moving on. Bhavishya, as seen is in news recently, is an online portal related to providing access to the vendors to take up items that can be taken up for indigenization. Well, no. Ensuring payment of all retirement dues to retiring employees on the day of retirement itself. Maybe because we are talking about future and the employee's future relies on the retirement benefits. The third statement, matching supply of skilled workforce with the market demand, thereby facilitating better livelihood opportunities for youth. Again, maybe. Collating government data scattered across multiple sources for consumption of policymakers, researchers, students and journalists. No, clearly that is not the case. So it is very important to know the fact here, because in things like these you cannot play a guessing game. So either you leave the question or you attempt only if you know. Never go by the name or just the name. So if we look at what Bhavishya is, the answer is option B. Option B. Basically, Department of Pension and Pensioners Welfare has launched an online pension sanction and payment tracking system. So it is a pension sanction and payment tracking system. Okay. So if you know this thing, then it is important. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Swadesh Darshan 2.0 scheme. It aims for integrated development of theme-based tourism or tourist circuits. So if you analyze budget, even this time, heavy focus is being given to tourism, right? So you might get easily confused. Okay, the statement 1 is incorrect, right? Why? Because under the Swadesh Darshan scheme, 15 thematic circuits have been identified for development, right? However, the new domestic tourism policy moves away from these theme-based tourist circuits and focus on the destination. Therefore, the government came up with a 2.0. Initially, Swadesh Darshan, yes, was based on theme, but 2.0 has been a change. So this 2.0 is aiming to develop sustainable and responsible destination based and not theme based, and hence this statement is incorrect, right? So please be very, very diligent. The scheme is 100% centrally funded. Yes, that is correct. Next, it seeks to enhance the contribution of tourism to local communities. Yes, that is also correct. So there is a catch. You might fall for this and mark D as an option, which is not the case. Here the option would be option B. Option B. Right? And therefore you can avoid the trap. Moving on. So this issue of pensions has been in news, right? Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, etc. So it is regarding the basics of the pension schemes. The old pension scheme or OPS is an assured inflation indexed monthly family pension that is linked to the last pay of the employed rule. Yes, that is correct. Anybody who has known a government employee or has a family member who's a government employee for some time, right, 20 odd years, they can very well identify that yes, this is the case. You always have that DA or dearness allowance enhancement, and that is accrued to the pension. So this statement is correct. Second statement, the NPS, the new pension scheme, proves to be a good counter-cyclical policy measure during a crisis. Well, no, that is not the case. Because of the fact that it is not as a counter to cyclic policy measure during a crisis. Because markets, first of all, do not crash often, and in the long run, they go up rather than down. Okay. So if there is a crash, the downside will get to be absorbed by the retirees only, right? So this new pension is not a good counter, rather it does not insulate. So that flows from the logic or mechanism behind the NPS or new pension scheme. NPS is dependent on the vagaries of market prices of liquidity bonds in which the corpus is invested. That is correct. So if this statement would have come before, it would have been easy to deduce. So never take a final call. Okay. So this statement is correct. Analyze all the statements in context to each other, right? And then take a call. So we have the statement 1 and 3 being correct, and hence the correct option would be option B. Option B. Moving on. Which of the following statements regarding the electoral bonds is or are correct? So they were also in news. Any which ways, general elections 2024 The run-up will start this year itself. So election becomes an important topic. Let us look at the set of statements. An electoral bond is similar to a banknote that is payable to the bearer on the demand and free of interest. Yes, that is a correct statement. So somebody might buy an electoral bond from a designated financial agency, here the banks, and can give it to a political party. The political party can then give it to bank and get the money. These bonds cannot be traded on stock exchanges. Yes, that is true. It is only for the financing of the political activities. Not all the parties can receive political funding under the electoral bond scheme. Yes, it is correct, because the political parties registered under section 29A of the Representation of People's Act are eligible. That is, the parties which have secured not less than 1% of the valid votes polled in the last general election, or to the legislative assembly, or to the parliament. Hence, not all political parties get eligible there, right? So this statement is also correct. So you have all the statements as correct. Hence, the answer would be option D. Option D. Moving on. So it is related to surrogacy. So this issue remains in news. You have few editorials, right, and about the legal aspects of it, which were in news. So let us look at the set of statements that we have. It aims to prohibit commercial surrogacy but allows altruistic surrogacy. Yes, that is true. The act was very much in news, and this provision especially became very contentious. It said that people who can have the ways and means and who are ready to pay and follow the rules cannot have a paid surrogacy, right? Only altruistic surrogacy is allowed. Next, once a child is born through surrogacy, it will be deemed to be the biological child of the couple for all intents and purposes. Yes, that is also true and gets explicitly stated in the act itself. Next statement. It provides eligibility criteria for both surrogate mother and the intending couple. Yes, that is true, because we have seen a lot of times a couple might take the help of a lady for surrogacy and then eventually abandons, right? So the regulation of this space was something which was very, very essential, and hence the act was brought about. So we see all the three statements to be correct. Hence, the correct answer is option D. Option D. Moving on. So that was precisely the set of questions that we had for this session. You can scan this QR code and attempt more such interesting questions on our website across all subjects, whether it is polity, economy, history, geography, etc., and of course, governance. So that's all from my side. Until next time, thank you.